You know what's weird? Most people think hitting $25,000 invested is supposed to feel life-changing. Like there's this moment where suddenly you wake up calmer, smarter, financially secure, maybe sipping coffee while your investments magically make money in the background. But for most people, you hit $25,000 invested and immediately think, wait, that's it? Because your life still looks the same. You still go to work. You still worry about bills. Your portfolio moves up $400 one day and down $700 the next. And instead of feeling rich, you somehow feel more anxious than before. Look, if that sounds familiar, you're not crazy. Because the first $25,000 is psychologically one of the strangest stages of building wealth. You're no longer broke, but you're definitely not wealthy. And this is exactly the stage where most people either build serious financial momentum or quietly sabotage themselves. And here's the thing. What happens after you invest your first $25,000 has almost nothing to do with intelligence. It has everything to do with behavior. My name is Leonard, and I spend way too much time thinking about the what happens after you invest your first $25,000. If you're someone who constantly feels like you're saving money, but somehow not getting ahead fast enough, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, I want to show you something most people completely misunderstand about investing. See, everyone obsesses over the first few $100s. How do I start? What stock should I buy? What app should I use? But almost nobody talks about what happens after you finally build a real base. And according to data from the Federal Reserve, a huge percentage of adults don't even have enough savings to cover a modest emergency expense. So reaching $25,000 invested? That already puts you ahead of far more people than you realize. But here's what most people don't realize. The first $25,000 isn't important because of the amount itself. It's important because of what your money starts doing afterward. Let me explain. Imagine two people. Person A invests $25,000 at age 25 and never adds another dollar. Person B waits 10 years, then starts investing aggressively at 35. Now, assuming a historical market return of roughly 10% annually from a broad index like the S&P 500, that original $25,000 invested at 25 becomes roughly $64,000 by 35, $166,000 by 45, $432,000 by 55, and over $1 million by retirement age without adding another cent. Now, obviously, inflation matters, taxes matter, life happens. But the point is this. Your first $25,000 is usually the moment where compound growth stops being theoretical and starts becoming visible. And visible changes behavior. This is where it gets really interesting. Because humans are terrible at understanding exponential growth. Our brains are designed for immediate rewards. That's why spending $300 on shoes feels emotionally easier than investing $300 into an index fund. One gives you dopamine today, the other gives you mathematical freedom later, and your brain hates later. Psychologists actually call this present bias. We naturally overvalue immediate gratification and undervalue future rewards, which means investing your first $25,000 is less of a math achievement and more of a psychological transformation. Because somewhere along the way, you proved you can delay gratification consistently. That's rare. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Leonard, but $25,000 still doesn't feel like enough. Exactly. That feeling never fully disappears. And honestly, this is one of the biggest financial traps nobody warns you about. Because when your investments are small, you think, if I just hit $25,000, I'll feel secure. Then you hit it and suddenly think, well, maybe I need $100,000, then $250,000, then $1 million. Lifestyle expectations rise with your income. This is called the hedonic treadmill, and it's why people making six figures still feel financially stressed. Look, I've seen people with investment portfolios larger than most families will ever build, still panic over money constantly, not because they're poor, but because human expectations expand faster than income if you don't consciously control them. So one of the most important things that happens after you invest your first $25,000 is you begin realizing wealth is partly mathematical and partly emotional. You can mathematically be doing well while emotionally feeling behind. That disconnect ruins people. Here's another thing nobody talks about. Your first $25,000 changes how you view time. Before investing, most people trade time directly for money. Hour worked equals dollar earned. Simple. But investing introduces a completely different concept. Money working independently of your labor. And at first, the numbers seem tiny. Maybe your portfolio gains $7 in a day, then $40, then $120. And eventually, you notice something strange. Some days your investments make more than you earned working. That realization changes people permanently. Because for the first time, you understand why wealthy people obsess over ownership instead of income. Employees work for money. Investors own assets that produce money. Huge difference. And look, this doesn't mean jobs are bad. Jobs are usually what fund investing in the first place. But the first $25,000 is often where people emotionally shift from, how much can I earn? To, how much can my money earn? That mindset shift is massive. Now let's talk about the mistake that destroys momentum right here. Lifestyle inflation. This is the stage where people start making a little more money, see their investments growing, and suddenly convince themselves they deserve a financial upgrade. New car. More expensive apartment, luxury subscriptions, bigger monthly payments, and here's the dangerous part. Most upgrades happen gradually enough that people barely notice. An extra $200 here, another $400 there. Suddenly, your cost of living increased by $1,500 a month, which means your financial freedom just moved years further away. Here's a simple example. Let's say you increase your lifestyle by $1,000 per month after getting a raise. That's $12,000 annually. Invested instead at a 10% average annual return for 25 years, that single decision could have become over $1.3 million. $1 million. That's the real cost of lifestyle inflation. Not the purchase itself, the opportunity cost. And here's what most people don't realize. Every recurring expense steals future investment growth, not just current cash. That realization is uncomfortable, but it's powerful. This is also the stage where investing starts getting emotionally harder, not easier. And that surprises people, because when you only have $1,000 invested, a market drop doesn't feel catastrophic. But when your portfolio drops from $25,000 to $20,000, that feels personal. Now your emotions enter the game. Fear, greed, regret. You start checking your portfolio too often. You wonder if you should sell. You watch financial news obsessively. And financial media loves this, because scared people click more headlines. Look, historically, markets decline regularly. Corrections happen, bear markets happen, recessions happen, but long-term investors are usually rewarded for staying invested through volatility. The people who build wealth are often not the smartest investors. They're the most emotionally consistent. That's it. Consistency beats intensity in investing almost every time. So what should you actually do after investing your first $25,000? Here's the practical part. First, automate everything possible. Remove willpower from the process. Automatic investing works because humans are emotional and inconsistent. Second, increase investments every time your income rises, even slightly. If your salary increases by $500 monthly, try investing at least part of that increase before lifestyle inflation absorbs it. Third, stop obsessing over daily market movements. Most financial success comes from time in the market, not timing the market. Fourth, protect your downside, emergency fund, reasonable debt levels, proper diversification. Because staying invested during hard times matters more than maximizing returns during easy times. And finally, focus less on looking wealthy and more on becoming wealthy. Those are completely different goals. One requires spending money, the other requires keeping and growing it. Look, the truth is, your first $25,000 probably won't change your life overnight, but it changes your trajectory, and trajectories matter more than moments. Because wealth creation usually feels boring while it's happening. Then suddenly people look at your life 10 years later and assume you got lucky. They don't see the years of consistency, the restraint, the patience, the invisible decisions, and they only see the outcome. And if you remember anything from this video, remember this. Your first $25,000 is not the finish line. It's proof that the system is starting to work. That's huge, because once you understand how compounding, behavior, and time work together, you stop needing financial miracles. You just need consistency long enough for the math to catch up. And honestly, that's a much more realistic path to wealth than what most people are chasing online. If this video helped you think differently about money, hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments. What was the hardest part about investing your first real chunk of money? Because chances are, someone else watching this is struggling with the exact same thing.